Hello boys and girls, and welcome to another episode of This Weekend. This week, on This Weekend, we're talking about sweatshops, and why they exist, and what they are. Let's find out, shall we? I'm here with one of the workers, Dong Hao, who works in a Nike sweatshop. What's it like working in the sweatshop?
I work for about 55 hours a week, sometimes even more. I get paid a little bit amount of barley, which is enough to put on the dinner table. I work from 7:30 to 9 o'clock, Monday to Friday, every week.
What conditions do you work in the factories?
The conditions in which I work in are unhygienic and very unsafe. We work with toxic chemical paints, solvents, glues, with our bare hands. I don't have a choice to work here. If I leave the factory, I wouldn't be able to have food on the table at home.
That's terrific. Thanks for your time, Dong Hao. Now I'm with Mr. Kingston, one of the owners of the factories that Nike run. Are you aware of conditions and what is happening in your factories?
The conditions in which my workers work in is a safe and controlled area with no dangers at all. They're perfectly safe, and such organisations as Oxfam are trying to shut me down. It's ridiculous.
When was the last time you visited one of your factories?
I visited one last month, and it was completely safe and operational. There was no need for me to shut it down at all. We keep all our workers healthy, because without the workers, our company would drop in prices. And we create jobs for all the people that we need, all that they need. And without us, they'd all starve to death. So I don't see what's the problem with it.
What do you say when people show you photos such as these?
When I see photos like this, it makes me sick. Why would anyone put another person through that? Yeah. And when people think that that's what my factory is, they really need to get their facts straight.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Kingston. Talk with the worker and the factory owner. Let's find out why sweatshops still exist. I'm here with Jason Billy, who protests against sweatshops. Why do things like these still exist?
Well, sweatshops still exist because companies such as Nike and Umbro, other sport and clothing brands, can use these poor countries for cheap labour. These companies know it's still illegal. They do it because they can get their products made cheaply there for a lot less money, which means countries where the product is sold, will continue to be bought. Continue to buy the cheap sweatshop-made item over the more expensive non-sweatshop brand.
So if everyone stopped buying sweatshop-made items, would the factories then go out of business?
There would be advantages and disadvantages. If this happened, it would get a lot of people out of illegal sweatshops, but for a lot of these people, it's their only option to put food on the table. Good that companies like Oxfam are working to abolish sweatshops, but it's a bigger problem at first glance.
I think when people like Mr. Kingston say what he said about the factory he owns,
it makes me sick to the stomach when people like Mr. Kingston lie about the conditions of the factories, don't care about what condition his workers work in. All he cares about is the paycheck he gets from Nike. It's disgusting.
Let's go into the problem a bit more. Why is it that factories are the only option for these people? And do we want these factories gone or not?
There are some good questions you're bringing up here. The people who work in these factories come from very poor backgrounds and are in countries with a lot of problems for many different reasons. Some of these countries are in war or political or religious reasons, meaning that in some cases the government doesn't have a lot of power. So this affair labour would be a very hard thing to do. Should we get rid of these factories, you ask? Well, in a sense, no. We shouldn't. These factories provide work for a lot of people who, as Mr. Kingston say, rightly, would die of starvation. If factories didn't exist, but just because these people are just desperate, it doesn't mean they should be used and forced. What we should be doing is improving the way they work and pay they get it. If the pay was up to a reasonable amount, this would have a little effect on the people back in the countries where the product is sold, but for the people working in the factories, this would make their lives so much better.
Very good point to bring up there, Mr. Jason. Good luck with what you're doing.
Thanks.
Well, that was a very informative episode of This Weekend, with lots of interesting points. Should sweatshops be taken down? Who is in the right on this matter? And who is it up to make the workplace in these factories better? It's all very confusing, and it's a long road ahead.
I like my job. You take away. Get back here.
It's a long road ahead till some of these questions will be answered. Let's hope things get better. Join us next week when you find about this guy, Abraham Lincoln, and what he's up to today. Goodbye from now, and as they say in my hometown, don't forget to be awesome.